Welcome back to Comics, the podcast where me and my mom look at our comic book collection 2 issues at a time. We've got a very special Thanksgiving Day issue, a pair of issues for Thanksgiving. But before we look at those, we have a drawing because we've hit 50 subscribers.
50.
It's a milestone that we said we would give away this Iron Man comic. One of our more viewed episodes was this shiny Iron Man 288, a 48-page anniversary special. You know, your 288th, and everybody celebrates that specific number. And so we have a bowl of our subscribers' names, or at least the ones that were private. I think there's some, or public. There are some that are private, but that's okay. And you're going to pick one out. Careful, they kind of stuck together.
I got it. We got it.
We're going to send this comic to you if you give us your contact information. Maurice Edwards. Maurice Edwards is the grand prize winner. Thank you, Maurice, for watching our videos and subscribing. And if you want to send us a message with your address, we can send this off to you promptly. Thank you so much for your support. And all the other 49 subscribers.
Yes, we appreciate all of you.
Except Brenna.
Brenna can just take it. And stick with us, because we have, going through our collection, we found some other duplicates that we have. And I think maybe when we hit 100, we could give away another comic.
You know what we have a duplicate of is the first issue of Ms. Marvel, I believe we have.
Oh, that would be cool.
Duplicate of, yeah.
That would be cool.
I think there was just a Marvel's movie.
Yes.
Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, and who's that third character?
Marvel.
Monica Rambeau, I think.
Oh.
What's her character's name, though?
What is
anyway,
that?
There's a movie.
Yeah.
So, Thanksgiving. I have Uncanny X-Men 308 as my Thanksgiving comic. Mixed Blessings, a turning point in the lives of the X-Men. This is from 1993.
Why do we have Dueling Scott on the cover?
Well, we got Dueling Jean Grey,
yeah, that's
too.
right, but she's in a different...
Yeah, that's like Marvel Girl and Cyclops.
Right.
And then she became Jean Grey, and he's still Cyclops.
Right.
But
hats? No hats.
It's funny how similar their costumes are.
I like these gloves a lot better than the ones that flared out.
You know, I have a soft spot for the yellow-blue X-Men costumes. Do you have a preference?
I like the Wolverine brown and yellow, but
yeah, I like brown
else...
Wolverine. You know what I really like is the brown Wolverine where he's got the necklace of like fangs, like the Wild Man. You know what I'm talking about? Like Jungle Wolverine or something. There's an action figure based on that version of like feral.
So we have
Wolverine.
Bishop and...
Yeah, you can really tell from the hairstyles. This was from 1993 because they've got like these mullet looks and just the big poofiness of the women's hair, like the flowing mane.
Yeah, big hair.
So, we have Bishop, we have Archangel, who is Angel, who's been turned into a Horseman of Apocalypse, but is good again. Iceman and Jean Grey. So, yeah, I would have been around 6 when this came out, I guess.
Wow.
I noticed this ad. It says, time for some real Mortal Kombat. Flying kicks, super punches, fireballs, death blows. Some people call this type of fighting combat, but there are others who call it kid stuff. Like anyone who sat in the cockpit of an M1A2 Abrams battle tank, ears ringing with each blast of its 120mm cannon.
Jeez.
Or someone who 30,000 feet above the Mediterranean banked their F-14 Tomcat at Mach 2 to shake a MiG off their tail. Now we're talking Mortal Kombat. It's funny how the tough talk of the copywriting, and then there's these like pixelated little explosions. It just...
Remember that video game, that tank game that used to be even on like laptop or desktop computers?
Mm-hmm.
And you'd like take your time.
It would be like square wheels.
so painstakingly like aiming, and I don't think I ever hit another tank.
I just thought this was weird because I remember Mortal Kombat being controversial.
Oh,
and
yeah.
seeing things on TV about, like, you shouldn't let your kids play this game. I think we played it pretty early on in its
You played it,
introduction.
yeah, because I remember.
In the first one, you could turn the blood off. You could toggle it in the settings menu. So you're like, well, they're just hitting each other really hard, but they're not drawing blood.
Yeah, but
He
I
pulled his
remember.
skeleton out, but it was not bloody.
I remember your sister was like maybe 4, and Brandon and Josh were over, and you guys were playing it, and then Josh was laughing so hard, and I went in there, and you were like, "Brenda pulled my spine out."
Really? That's why she doesn't get a shout out as a subscriber. I still have a grudge about that. But I thought it was funny that this was like trying to capitalize on how edgy Mortal Kombat was, but it seems like super pro military. I wonder if it was like a video game that was subsidized by the American military to you know how they give like, I think they give like financial incentives to movies for like favorable depiction of the military. That's probably what was
They're
going
trying to
on.
hook your 10-year-old.
Yeah, make him the perfect soldier.
Project Perfect Soldier.
They're making the next super soldier. Okay, so there's not a lot of Thanksgiving in this issue. It says Thanksgiving morning right at the very top, but and there's they have dinner at the end. But besides the fall colors, this is really about Cyclops and Jean Grey's long relationship and all the ups and downs of it. So they're walking through the grounds of the X Mansion or the compound, and Cyclops is like, "What?" And she says, "What? What is that expression for?" "Oh, nothing." She's kind of being evasive. I think they were just had a long silence, and he could tell something was on her mind. And that's why we have these costume comparisons, because a lot of what they're reminiscing about is when they first came to Xavier's Institute as teenagers. It's weird to have the full head mask. It kind of makes sense if you want to be hard to identify, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like the newer costumes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. They show your whole face, basically.
It'd be like seeing your teacher at the grocery store. Oh, that's Mystique. And how did you tell? She's blue. Always.
This is a weird comic. Not a weird comic, but I don't know if we've had a comic that goes vertical or whatever.
No.
We'd have to change the book. So, and what's cool is a lot of these, the perspective change happen in flashbacks. So it's a cool way to differentiate like the present from the past. Not all of them. There is one I remember from later in the comic that's in the present tense, but it's a nice way to differentiate. So she talks about how like, oh, when I was growing up, you always heard people say like they were gonna find the one, and I always thought times have changed, and my mom's old-fashioned for telling me that. But then when I saw you handling that big spiky ball in the danger room, I knew you were the one for me, and we were soulmates and all that kind of stuff. A lot of this comic is very like, it's like a romantic movie or something.
It's your rom-com.
I know, it's a weird direction. Not only you can tell like the 90s fashion and like the body types. I notice a lot of the men have this like V-shaped body where they have really big shoulders, but their waists are really petite.
That's
it's like this top-heavy
Dorito,
look.
the Dorito look.
Yeah. It was popular in the 90s. So anyway, they're having like their meet cute thing, and she can read his thoughts. That's something he doesn't realize at first. So he's like, you shouldn't be in here. It's the danger room. It's really a training center, but the nickname at that time is the danger room, and that's how we all know it. But I guess that's funny to put it in quotation marks, because it does make sense that Professor X wouldn't probably say like, build me a danger room, make me a really dangerous room to put these pupils in. It would be too
obvious.
Well, it would be just a little cruel sounding, I think.
True.
So anyway, he's like, well, if you're going to stand there, can you hand me a wrench or something? And she asks his real name, and, he's looking into her green eyes, he says, and he has this clumsy moment of like, oh,
he takes his glasses off, her head explodes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, those were the days. Remember when you blew my head off that first day? But I do like the line work in their hair is a cool
Yeah, there's a
texture
lot of detail.
and the little ink
The
emphasis
fur.
on the fur. The edge of the fur is really nice,
Yeah.
and it's a cool way to get this big. He's up on a ladder, so it kind of helps the perspective to have to turn the book 90 degrees to it makes it look taller. And it's nice to break up the reading pattern to have this kind of descending.
Yeah, I like it. The colors are so vivid.
I know. That's what I was thinking for a 30-year-old document. It looks quite modern to me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just because of, most of my memories are based around this time. My comic memories. Yeah, he's a real goofball. Beast is in this one.
Oh, yeah.
I do really like this purplish pink telekinesis bubble that she puts him in to save him. Marvel Girl, get clear. If I lose my ruby quartz glasses, I could accidentally destroy the mansion.
Oh,
Not to fear,
geez.
Cyclops. Remember, the lady's a telekinetic. And so, in the present moment, he's like, what a smoothie I was back then, and subtle, too. Are you sure you're not embellishing these memories? I really shouted, get clear. I don't know why that's what he's embarrassed about, because, like you say, he could just blast her into oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
By accident. So, Beast jumps through the leaves. He says, clear the aisle, everybody. Way cool people coming through.
He looks like he's got coconuts for glasses.
He really does. My own preferred path clearer is thermomolecularly enhanced caffeine extract.
Oh, my God.
Meaning, Beast? Hot coffee. So, he's goofing off with Jubilee.
He's huge.
I have to say I prefer Shadowcat, is that her name? Kitty Pryde over Jubilee as the teenager character in X-Men.
Yeah.
Jubilee,
I
I
forgot
can't
Jubilee's
remember.
powers.
I think the first thing I saw Jubilee in was the animated show they had. She was the point of view character for the first episode to understand the team.
I remember that.
She has she can manifest light displays, blasts. I don't know. Not as cool as going through walls.
I know. Or phasing through people.
Mm-hmm. Seems really useful to phase.
You could, if you were close enough to a bad guy, you could just phase through their chest cavity, grab their heart, and pull it out,
Yeah, well, but then wouldn't your hand be in the middle of
trapped
their
in
rib
there?
cage, being penetrated by it? Or
Well, you
can
could
you
just-
selectively just make your hand
Oh,
substantiate,
yeah.
but not your wrist?
True.
It depends. I don't know. I think she could just make parts of her body. Anyway, so they talk about in the narration how even though some bad things have happened, it's Thanksgiving and they're trying to have a good day because they lost Ilyana Rasputin to an illness. There was a bitter defection. I believe that's when Colossus chose to join Magneto on Asteroid M, I think it was. So at one point, Magneto had his own space station, and he was like the messiah of of not evil mutants, but kind of a cultish kind of.
Didn't he try to become the guy to look up to for all mutants? Not just evil mutants. He tried to cross the barrier.
But it's still, they're seen as a villainous group by the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
I guess his acolytes. I think that's Magneto's acolytes. So Colossus has become an acolyte, and also I think this was post Wolverine getting his adamantium skeleton ripped out by Magneto, because they say Wolverine is off licking his wounds, which he gets injured constantly, so it must be really bad that he's out of the comic for a while. Because I think this is the period where they had he had bone claws, and he reverted to a more animalistic version of himself. So for some reason, they told Storm that it would be therapeutic to spend hours raking the leaves manually instead of using her powers. And so she's understandably really mad that Beast is wrecking all the piles and scattering them everywhere. And Banshee says, hard to believe the boyo's got a doctorate in biophysics. Actually, Sean, I'm impressed. He's held office for as long as he has. That's Forge. Forge is like a technologically gifted mutant.
I thought, looking at that was his hair. I was like, ooh, that is really extreme.
Yeah, the folds of his hat almost look like a bullet belt
Yes.
or something. And Beast is a real goofball.
Oh, he is.
He says, we're in the moolah, we're in the moolah.
What?
Oh, that's right. He says, quick, jot this down. The Danger Yard, trademark, Hank McCoy and Jubilation Lee. I'm telling you, Jay, we copyright this baby and you and I can blow this taco stand. And then he says, after infuriating storm, 1,000 pardons, O mighty leaderess, 1,000,000 pardons, a Google pardons. It does not matter. Okay, infinity pardons, but that's as far as it goes. A man has got to have a little dignity. He's just very,
He's over the top.
yeah, he's very theatrical. He's like a scientific guy, but he acts like a theater kid or something.
Yeah, oh,
He's
yeah.
very extroverted and attention-seeking.
Yeah.
He's like a performer. You know what I mean? I
Do
love
we
the colors
have-
of these leaves, though.
Do we have any comics with his origin story?
We probably do. And, you know, that depiction of him is pretty consistent, I find, in earlier Marvel. He's always kind of a goofball.
Well, remember, was it the Defenders that we did?
He got a dog.
He
in
got a
that,
puppy,
yeah.
yeah.
Which isn't really goofball behavior, but it's
But it's
not what you
kinda-
expect them to do.
Yeah.
Mostly
yeah.
fighting and science and stuff. And so, you know, this is kind of just like they're getting a B story to Scott and Jean's reminiscence and like the ramp up of their relationship with them getting more serious about it. Look at the fashion on Gambit. Maybe you can see what I mean about
Yes.
Bishop's got that
Bishop.
very like wide shoulder and then it goes in
Oh,
with the
yeah.
skinny jeans. And yeah, you think it would be kind of cold. Gambit's like, I like showing off my calves. He's
What are those socks?
Yeah, he's got
Little
his
leg
80s leg warmer look going on too. So they're gonna play some football, I guess. And first they're trying to explain to Bishop like why you would set up a scarecrow, and they're saying, well, it's gonna scare off animals. And Bishop is so literal and like serious that he's saying, you know, that's not an effective way to have security or something like that. And I think this is Iceman. This is Bobby. He makes a version of Doctor Doom.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. You have to admit, making faux Dooms is a lot funner. Doom? Is this construct supposed to be Doctor Doom? I've studied your files and see no resemblance to the Lord of Latveria. He's the straight man, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think he's from a dystopian future, if I remember. And so that kind of messes with you if you had that kind of upbringing. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder from that dystopian world he was raised in. He just can't move past it. So,
They have Rogue's hair, though, the way I like it.
I know, it's very poofy.
Yeah, but that's
She's
more
got
of
the
her
reverse
personality.
Doctor Strange. Instead of white on the sides, she's like white down the middle, brown on the sides.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
So, this is another corny Bishop. I see neither a foot nor a ball.
Oh.
Sigh, don't let the details bog you down. He's very self-serious.
And Bobby's so young.
I know, it's funny how young the characters look, because these flashback scenes took place in what, like 1968 or something like that, in literal time. So you're like, 1993, you guys have been dating a really long time.
Yeah, that's very true, yeah.
I do really like the illustrations. This is John Romita Jr., so
This is nice.
isn't
up
that the
here.
son of John Romita, the Spider-Man, famous Spider-Man artist that took over after Steve Ditko? Is that
Oh,
right?
Steve Ditko was my favorite.
So I really like it. I almost thought from the cover, because I haven't looked at a lot of these 90s comics in a while, I thought it was Jim Lee for a while. Do you remember Jim Lee?
Mm-hmm.
I really liked his art growing up. He had a similar, like, I I guess cross hatching or like these very
Yeah.
shaded line style, especially like in the shadows of his
Yeah.
face, that kind of
That's
stuff.
a nice drawing.
And it's very angular, a lot of it, like her hair there. Anyway, this is a flashback of like Jean's been at the X Mansion for a while, and she's talking with Professor Xavier, like how she's changed over time, and he knows that she has feelings for Scott, and that might be a reason that the psychic barriers that Professor X had established in her mind are breaking down.
Ah.
So when she first came to the mansion, I guess she had a really hard time like sleeping or doing anything because all these intrusive telepathic voices were in her head. She couldn't regulate it, and so he placed some barriers or things to dim her powers. But now they're coming back full force because of she's distracted, having a crush on Cyclops, I guess. So she's saying, what if it doesn't work out, and I'm really nervous to talk to him about it, and he's trying to be a good role model and say, well, it's normal for people your age to feel this way, and just, go back to the danger room. There's a spiky ball in there you got to deal with. I don't have time for this kind of melodrama.
It looks like it did.
I do like the little, I guess that's kind of like the telekinesis bubble, the little fizzy purplish color. And like the line detail on the bottom of her jeans.
Yeah.
Like you don't see that kind of stuff, that kind of texture in earlier comics. It's something I associate with the 90s anyway. Or maybe it's just taken to such a degree. I'm sure it's noticeable in earlier things. I love that drawing of him, though. I really like the edges of the fur.
Yeah.
But he's definitely got that top-heavy, like, really big shoulders, like hulking.
Oh, yeah.
But also kind of a petite waist for, like, he's got a V shape.
Of all the beast-like heroes, he's the one that seems to have the less dread about, and the less ennui about himself.
He's a furry. He's like, I got a whole community that's all about this.
That's true.
He knew it would catch on. You don't see rock communities.
Well, that's true. Or big green muscly communities.
Yeah. Or like Man-Thing. You're kind of like a knockoff Swamp Thing kind of Marvel character. I don't know which one came first, honestly. I like Man-Thing. So if you're watching this and I'm not trying to rip on Man-Thing too much.
No, I know less about Man-Thing than I do Swamp Thing.
He's got like those tentacle kind of things hanging down from. So anyway, let's not get too off track with that. I do like the kind of campy 60s look, especially that pointy mask is a funny. I like the green and yellow as a cool color contrast versus the blue and yellow is cool, but I don't know. There's something I like about that shade of green and yellow. So they're reminiscing about the Phoenix Force, and this is like this Shi'ar sort of saga that X-Men go through, and the Phoenix had blasted Cyclops, and she, I think, thought he died for a moment. This is where that happens, actually. We got another big splash page. We're going vertical. I was there, Jean. Our psionic rapport was still intact, which is why I was fighting so desperately against impossible odds. I knew that despite the fail-safes the professor had planted in the Phoenix's mind, the power, in some ways, the desire to destroy the entire universe was still there. Fortunately for every living being in the cosmos, there was a stronger force at work. There was the heart and soul of Jean Grey. So a lot of these flashbacks are to emphasize like the pure character and heroic nature of Jean Grey as like a self-sacrificing person. I do like the lines on this blast shot, because it's nice to have like the shading in his body, because it goes a different angle than the blast outside of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a nice
There's
contrast.
good contrast. Yeah.
She looks so evil in that shot. So this is like, I guess, when she became the Dark Phoenix. There's this strange cutscene here, and I think we'll just have to wait to see the next issue, but we cut away from the whole. It's a very impressionistic recap. But that's one thing I appreciated is they do a recap of like, here's when we first met, here's the Phoenix Saga, but it's not like, see issue 124.
Right.
You know, like it's not super exposition heavy. They're kind of assuming you're familiar with it, and they're depicting it in a different way rather than having like. You know, it allows them to do it in a more artistic way. But this cutaway scene is in St. Louis, Missouri. We're cutting away from the memory to the present time, I guess. A pleasant home, a quiet street. His name is unimportant. He could be anyone. Anyone who has given up the notion that government will protect him and his family from a world gone suddenly rife with menace. But unlike all those other anyones, this man intends to do something about it by any means necessary.
Mario.
Phalanx. I think. Yeah, I can't remember. I remember some significance to the Phalanx, or isn't that like an alien race in X-Men or something? Anyway, we're back at that moment. They're on the 50-yard line that they've established in the grounds where they're playing football.
Beast has a little Elvis thing going on.
He does. He kind of takes over the Wolverine hairstyle.
Yeah.
Like the slicked back, kind of spiky, rockabilly looking kind of hair. But look at this. It almost looks like an ad for like 90s of like a jeans commercial or something, or like Hanes sweatshirts. Their body types
Especially
are extremely
Gambit.
familiar or similar, and then Gambit, he's the high fashion
That's
guy.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess I like the perfectly circular sunglasses with the little bubble.
With the bubble.
It's a funny look. But yeah, he's got like a belly shirt, but it's also really baggy, and it's got these poofy arms. It's a weird look. I don't know if it's like a hip hop influenced fashion, but it's got like runners legging kind of things
Right.
on. I don't get it. And of
It's
course
like
he's got the
Vanilla
long
Ice.
flowing
Kind of.
back hair. Yeah, I guess. There's his bubble bursting. I like that. So, I think Bishop's being overly literal again. No, it's Forge this time, he says. With everyone assuming a 59-degree variant, I'll propel the projectile at a maximum rate of 19 feet per square. Forge, this is a huddle, not a physics class. I'm not following any of this. Don't feel bad, mon ami. I know how to play the game, and Jean-Luc Lebeau's favorite son has no idea what he's talking about. What he's trying to say is go long. So Forge throws the football there, and Gambit and Storm are competing to catch it. He calls her Stormy, and she says, I should tackle you just for calling me that ridiculous name. When all of a sudden Archangel swoops in with his giant deathbird wings and steals the football, and everybody's like, hey, we said no powers. Did we? It was implied. And so they're all arguing about that while Scott and Jean are quite a bit away. I do like these skeletal trees. Mm-hmm. Helps reinforce the fall ambiance they're going for.
Yeah.
But yeah, not really a villain to be seen in this comic. It's more of a character building exercise. Oh, speaking of football. I like the red costume though.
I forgot about the red costume.
So this is, they're talking about how they have a daughter from the future named Rachel. I'm a little fuzzy on this whole saga, but I believe this has to do with the characters like Strife, Madeline Pryor, Rachel. Cable isn't he Nathaniel Summers is their son from the future or something like that. Anyway, it's been a while since I've thought about those things, so forgive us, viewers. But I believe that's the Goblin Queen. I think didn't Madeline Pryor she was like a clone or something of Jean that the Hellfire Club was trying to use to manipulate Cyclops, and then she turned into the Goblin Queen. I believe that's how it went. So they're kind of just reminiscing. Remember when I was the Goblin Queen or whatever. Let's see. I think it's worth reading some of it. Scott, do you ever wonder what it'd be like to have a family, to start a family of our own? We already have a family of our own, Jean, sort of. I'm not talking about Rachel, a daughter from the future. I'm talking, it's like they both know she's in the future. Why you got to bring it up? For our sake, I guess. I'm talking about you and me taking responsibility for our lives today and the here and now, and not getting bogged down in the end result of a timeline that may or may not come to pass. Granted, no one was angrier than I was when I first met her. It was as though the universe had already plotted out the rest of my life, and all I had left to do was to go through the motions. And what's changed that, Gene? Everything. Everyone. From Peter leaving, to Logan's injuries, to the professors opening the doors to Sabretooth. That's another wrinkle of this era. Sabretooth has a heroic turn for a little while. There are no constants in this life, Scott. No master plan, no lifetime warranty. Yeah, I wonder if they're like, well, we don't have Wolverine. He's out on sick leave, so we got to have some kind of animalistic man in here. Let Sabretooth in.
Beast just isn't cutting it.
Yeah, he's too much of a goofball. He's too articulate. We need more grunting. I do like the squareness of Iceman's head there. He's got some right angle on his scalp. So, let's see. What about the son I did have with Madeline? What about Nathan, Gene? It's not as if anyone's ever going to confuse me with Father of the Year, eh? Please, Scott, I was there. I've never experienced a bond as strong as the one that existed between you and Nathan. The decision you made to send him into the future saved his life. That sacrifice alone was more than any man should be asked to. Somebody stop him, huh? Bishop, grab him. So we're back in the football game, thankfully, because it's getting a little exposition heavy here.
Yeah.
So I think Nathan Summers was the child that Scott had with Gene's clone, Madeline Pryor. And I think Nathan, am I right? Is he Cable or is he Strife? I think he might be Strife, because I think Strife and Cable are just like stepbrothers or something like that. They're both muscular, armored, cyborg-looking men. It doesn't really matter. So we got some tackling going on. I guess that's Banshee being tackled by Forge. And Professor X has come out to announce that dinner's ready. Thanksgiving dinner is ready. But they're too embroiled in their footballing to notice. And I do like this shot of Beast's deranged-looking eyes. It's weird how they truncate Archangel's wings off the panel there. It's a little awkward looking. But where does the football bounce but into the lap of Professor X's poor little face there? Oh, no.
Oh, Scott. Oh.
Yeah, I like when they shrink down the words to make the volume go down or whatever. He's got that bulky up top look, too. Everybody like wearing those bulky coats.
Big puffer jackets, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he has to go help Professor X, and right as he's leaving, she says, "Marry me." He's like, "What the heck did you say?" And then we get a little blank. That's a funny tactic, too. It's like like a pregnant pause, or, like a look. You don't see that used very often.
That's a weird expression, too.
And he's like, "I thought you didn't want to get married," because I guess back in X Factor 52, does that say? He had proposed to her, and she said she wasn't ready. But now she realizes, like, I can't worry about the predestined future of, like, what I'm supposed to end up doing or the kids we're having from the future. I got to just live my life kind of thing. And so they decide to get married. There's this very weird, from the bullpen bulletins, The Bullseye by Rick Parker. What's it like to actually live in the Marvel Universe? Well, I did meet Electro once. You see, as head of maintenance for ConMax, it's my job to check for gaping holes in the facade of the building. I met Max at a nuclear reactor demonstration, got his autograph too, and to think I almost went for a haircut that day. It's a weird little one-panel comic. Look at this weird plastic gun game they're selling. I'm not trying to be too hypersensitive, but I feel like I wouldn't buy my kid a revolver gun as like a toy. I don't know. I don't believe in censorship of violence, but it's just an awkward, I don't know.
It shoots real bullets at the duck game.
Yeah, at least the duck hunt that I had as a kid, it was more of a cartoonish looking gun. It's not hyper realistic. It is bright blue, but
yeah,
I don't know. There's something a little more macho about the marketing of the box and stuff. It's very Death Wish.
It's stuff you don't think about until you see an ad from way back then. It's like,
yeah, being older, I'm not calling for it to be banned or anything, but it's a little jarring of like what the attitudes of the times, how they shift a little bit. I don't feel like you see that many gun toys being advertised. Maybe Nerf. That's pretty abstract from. Anyway, so they're all happy they're gonna get married, and we'll cut to the chase here because I like this big banquet.
It's the turkey.
Yeah, we're looking from like the turkey eye view. Storm's got a cool African hat on. It's like a square hat. We've got Forge, who's like full on party in the back. He's got like flat top in the front and a huge flowing mullet. Then Bishop's got his like Jerry curl mullet kind of thing going on.
Jeez.
And Archangel has kind of a slick back like Wall Street up top, but party in the back.
Party in the back.
And I don't know if this is Psylocke or who this is supposed to be, but the purplish dark hair. But, it's kind of mullety. I'm not sure who these elderly people are, but that might be Iceman, so it might be his parents.
Right, because it says, glad you made it.
Not sure who that is. Or that. Beast, not sure who that is either.
Is that Jubilee?
That's Jubilee? Yeah, maybe that is Jubilee. No, yeah, Jubilee's over here. So yeah, I think you're right, because she's wearing the green blazer. Anyway, maybe that is Psylocke, or that's Polaris. I'm a little fuzzy with we got Gambit, Rogue, not sure who she is.
Gambit's
and
little
poor
head
Professor
wrap.
X has his little bandages on from his tackle that he received. So this is kind of a interesting lineup of X-Men compared to the recent movies, who they've chosen as part of the team.
His little teeth.
Yeah, he's got the little square teeth like a cat, big fangs, but derpy little
baby
incisors or whatever. So Xavier gives his annual Thanksgiving speech. If I might have everyone's attention, tink, tink, tink. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that for me, Thanksgiving has always been my own personal New Year's Day. It is the day of the year where we are given to reflecting upon all that has gone on before us throughout the seasons. A day when instead of recalling the multitude of deeds which we have yet to accomplish, instead of dwelling upon the opportunities we have missed, we're encouraged to be grateful for all that is good in our lives, in ourselves. Oh yeah, we've had a real banner year. Jubilee says, shush, irreverence has its time and its place, child. This is neither. It's like, Beast, you can hardly ever do anything seriously, and you're trying to, maybe you should set a better example yourself. I thought this was cool. X-Men mutant gear. It's like a kid's fashion based on the X-Men, which none of it looks like what the X-Men wear.
At all.
In any way, yeah.
I liked this costume for Scott.
Yeah, I like the, what is that called? Like a pilot's jacket, bomber jacket. Yeah, something like that. I do like that look. I like I think I'm nostalgic for the yellow and blue Wolverine because it was the one I grew up with. But I think overall I prefer the brown Wolverine as the classic Wolverine look for me. And I kind of miss the 80s punk looking Storm.
Remember Brenna had that costume?
Yes. Brenna was Storm?
Yeah, for Halloween that one year.
Was that when I was Wolverine? Were both X-Men?
No, you were Wolverine. That was...
Didn't we take straws and cut the ends off of them to make the claws? That was funny.
You were like 4, I think, when you were Wolverine.
Okay.
You were really little.
How old was I when I was Donatello?
That was your first one. I think you were about 3.
Okay. And I think I was Superman? Or didn't I have one of those acrylic masks of Spider-Man? Or was that just hanging up?
I think you were... weren't you Spider-Man and Al was Superman?
I think that's right.
And that was when you were 5.
I was in preschool because I remember going to the that church that we went to preschool.
Yeah.
Up M28. So we've got some headshots of the different X-Men as Professor X is going through his oration here. Actually, Jubilee makes a valid point. Since the day I gathered the first among you to my side, and asked each and every one of you to make the decision to build a better world for everyone, I am hard-pressed to recall a year when we've been called on to face such bitter tragedies. The death of Ilyana, Peter's departure, Logan's injuries. Any one of these experiences could have proved devastating to our united goal. Oh, that guy? Yeah, he got messed up. Pulled his freaking skeleton out.
Ooh.
So they're all saying it's good that we've we're still a big family, and we can still show joy and happiness and be thankful for being alive and not having our skeletons pulled out. No offense, Wolverine. It just looked painful. And meanwhile, in the background, Scott and Jean have caught up with the rest of the crew and announced that they are going to get married. And there's a big reaction shot here. Congratulations, about time, sugar. You would think that's Rogue, but that was actually me, sugar. Have you set a date? We knew you couldn't hold out forever, Scott. And Gambit put his do-rag on for dinner.
I hate
For
that.
Thanksgiving dinner. You gotta wear it.
I'm so sleazy looking.
Well, when are you gonna wipe your fingers on? It's
Just gets greasier during the meal.
Do you have peas in your do-rag? So Professor X is observing all the celebration. Imagine then the joy that swells within the heart of Charles Xavier at seeing the smiles upon his students' faces, at the sound of their laughter echoing off the mansion's walls, and while he has some reservations about the decision made here this day, he chooses to keep them to himself. For these few moments his children are happy. For that above all else he is grateful. The end. And just before we transition into our second spectacular Thanksgiving episode, I couldn't help but read a couple of these. And from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh,
I've been to Grand
cool.
Rapids. I know people that live there now. We have the guy was showing his appreciation for the recent X-Men run. And in his last paragraph, he says, as a college graduate of English literature, I have read my share of depressing stories that really made me think about myself and what I should be doing with my life. When I read a comic like The Uncanny X-Men, I am looking to be entertained, as well as reading something that has a fair share of social and political issues that we are faced with today. By no means do I think that the mutants should not deal with the unfortunate fact that they are treated as outsiders by society, but I think they should start to look at ways to change this feeling. Sitting and sulking in misery does not solve any problems, and mutants should be aware of that. Bitter enemies all over the real world are making friends these days. Maybe it is time for the mutants and humans to do the same. Very unifying message, and it brings up a good point that one of the best things about the X-Men comics is for anybody that's felt like they don't fit in mainstream society, it's kind of like a
That's very true.
way to stick up for the underdog.
Okay, so
But I bet the Spectre is pretty different.
yeah.
Pilgrims of Peril.
We've got Pilgrims of Peril. Instead of gathering together to be grateful, we've got pilgrims summoning demons.
They look like evil little midgets or something.
They are evil little. This one looks horrific if you saw that.
I love this logo. The way it
That's
swirls into
really
him.
neat. You can almost see that as if it were animated. How that would look, you can imagine it.
Gosh, the contrast between 1993 and 1968 in comics.
Is this 12
12
cents?
cents. Mine, $1.25.
Wow.
Wow. That's a
That's-
decimal point.
That's crazy. So yeah, the cover is very vivid.
I like these motion lines around the can of the trash and around this aura. It's very cartoony. And these purples, it makes me think of like a old animation.
Yes. Yes. So we open to this guy walking down Ashcan Alley in the old quarter of Gateway City. A passersby's face turns ashen as a head coming out of that ash can.
It is Ashcan Alley.
But it's 68. I don't remember. I was only 5, but I don't remember anybody calling it an ash can.
Instead of like a trash can? Is that what that
Yeah.
means?
What
were they doing with all their garbage? Just burning it?
Yeah. It's
Put
crazy.
the ashes in this can.
But then this ghost comes out, this pilgrim ghost, holding his musket, which is really strange. And
I wonder if that comes from that terminology comes from when fireplaces were more common in homes.
oh, yeah.
Maybe.
And then it says, close by, a housewife opens her broom closet and is nearly swept off her feet by the sight of. And how'd he get in there?
Gosh, they look like little gremlins on the cover, but now he's a really tall.
Oh, yeah.
What is that, like a whip?
He is holding, and I believe this
Cat of
is
nine
supposed to
tails?
be an antler.
Oh.
Because he's holding what I believe to be like a
Pizza
scroll.
cutter?
Pizza
I'm cutting it square.
No, please, no. And she's going, how do you get in there? That awful stench, pew. Who takes the time to say pew? So they all run into the streets, and these pilgrims, out, all of you, out. And the place must be free of unbelievers if our incantations are to be effective. So everybody's running, and then...
I like the way that Billy pops there. They filled it in with
Oh,
color.
yeah. And come back here. Of course, he's running off. He's got to go get his water pistol. And he looks like a truncated adult, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. It's very
The
odd
mixtures
drawing.
of colors. It's
Insane.
very 60s looking.
Yes.
The stuff.
Very psychedelic. And so they notice that the police show up. It's Captain Corrigan. If anyone can save us from the Pilgrims and the fog, he can.
What is he going to do about fog?
I
He's just
know
a guy.
it. So they give us a little intro. Captain of Detective Jim
Captain of Detectives? I am the Captain of Detectives.
Jim Corrigan, who died long ago, but whose earthbound spirit, the Spectre, still roams the world, searching out evil and eliminating it in the name of good. Restored to life by the awesome powers granted to the Spectre, Policeman Corrigan also battles in his limited human way against injustice with a timely assist from his astral other
Sounds
self.
a little insecure about his human form.
Yeah.
In his limited human way.
Oh, that guy. He's
You
limited.
think he has to tell people Spectre R-E, not E-R. Spectre with an R-E. It's probably annoying.
So again, we have, gosh, I always bring these two heroes in one kind of.
Yeah, you
kind of
did
comic.
Firestorm, I think, before. I mean, you
Yes.
love doing the Hulk. But yeah, two
Yeah.
personas trapped in the same body kind of thing, or coming from the same person.
And Ghost Rider,
Yep, possessed by a
demon.
demon.
So in the outskirts of the old quarter, billowy clouds of thick fog rise up higher and higher, and Corrigan
Purple
is
fog.
like, it's like a barrier sealing off the place from the rest of the city. Luckily, we all got out. But then this lady's like, except for Billy. They hear him in there. Mama, help me. I can't get out.
That's cool. The red with the yellow.
Yeah, that gives it a real danger feeling. And even Corrigan, he's like, I can't, there's no way to reach him. So the Spectre touches his shoulder. What the?
Limited human. Let me help.
Yes. He's like, we're too late, Spectre. Billy's caught up in the swirling fog, being whisked up and away. So the Spectre takes off. He's like, I got this, Jim. Just sit down. And so he's summoning up his astral power, the astral power of his body. The ghostly guardian hurtles through non-time and space.
On time.
Yes. And emerges into an eldritch realm.
Oh, an Eldritch Realm.
Like you do. I mean, you get on 65 too fast. That's an eldritch realm. And he goes, Billy, what are you doing? Like the stupidest question. Billy, what are you doing?
I'm going to the Eldritch Realm.
He goes, I gotta do it. So something's forcing me to. So he's emptying the lake water with putting it into his water pistol and emptying it into
water?
this little hole. And something is telling him to do that.
That's some crazy looking water.
Yeah, it's nuts. So Spectre gets down there and he's like a compelling force trying to gain control over me by making me do the same thing as Billy. And he's thinking, but if I get this done, then it'll lose its control over us and then I can save Billy. So he takes his cape and he swirls, turning the lake into steam and pushing that steam into the hole. And
Who do you think he is? He's the Flash now? That's like honestly, it's probably a Superman move that the Flash ripped off. By going super
yeah, it could have
fast.
been, yeah.
The old super fast swirly water spout move, huh?
But then he does that, and we hear, rash beings, do not think yourselves free of my control. The
But I
Spectre
guess,
shrinks
what's
down.
different is evaporating, right? He's turning it into steam.
Into
whereas,
steam and putting it in that little hole.
Yeah, I'm used to the Flash making like a water tornado, but not
Oh,
necessarily
yeah.
heating it. I like the shrinking
Yeah.
drawing. That's really
So
cool.
he comes
sequence.
back down and he goes, I am Nawar, demon lord of the Gelm of Gaimpo.
Gaimpo.
He is bizarre. Look at his loose pants.
They shrunk in the wash. Do not defy me.
He's so muscular, and then he's got this baggy butt. And then meet my exception to your rule, Nawar. If I must subdue you by the physical means, so be it.
These stumpy little fingers he's got.
Yes, and his little toes are so whimsical. He's got 3 on each. So he
Yeah.
throws a rock, and the Spectre's like, geez, this is really hurting me. It shouldn't hurt me.
It looks like it would hurt, honestly. It's as big as his entire body.
And Billy's like, whoo, he plays rough. So
Not helpful, Billy.
and he goes, uprooting a petrified tree, Nawar hurls it like a lance at the ghostly guardian. Strange, my astral body feels the blows with which he assaults me, as if it were mere flesh and blood, as if I were mere flesh
As
and
if
blood.
you were a limited human, huh?
His pants still look weird from the front.
It's an adult diaper for the belt.
So they're fighting, and he says,
He's getting wider.
I know. He goes, I stamp my foot on the ground here, and underground water gushes out there. And the Spectre tries to hit him, and it doesn't. He's impervious to anything from his world. And so the Spectre thinks quickly. He goes, Billy, empty your pockets. And if he's a typical youngster, he'll have something I can use as a weapon against Nawar.
Like a slingshot?
So he pulls out a marble, a top, a ball of twine, and compass, a coin, and then Spectre grabs the marble, and he'll start the ball rolling with the marble. And Nawar's back there, ha ha ha.
Yaha.
Whoa. Against my demonic powers. He's just a brat, though. Look at him. Look at his face.
Yeah.
He's just such a brat.
It's weird, the perspective of the kid's hand. It looks like
Ooh.
part of his
Nawar.
body, like his
It
abdomen or
does.
something. But
It makes him kinda
it's
look
tricking
like-
my eyes for a second.
Yeah, it makes him kind of look like the Thing.
Yeah.
That's weird. And so he makes the marble huge, and he hits Nawar with it, and it actually hurts him. This is a great one. He
That's
takes
a really
that
good
top
action scene.
and he spins it, and as it's spinning towards him, it gets huge. And so yeah, he goes, just as this earth top ought to set your wits twirling. And this dime is huge too.
Use my shoe on the heel. Smack him with my shoe.
He hits him on
So
the
he can
head.
make things bigger?
Yeah. Himself and things.
Oh.
And so he ties, and longer, because he takes that little ball of string and he ties him up.
Weird to see an ad intrude on the
the
page.
image.
That is one way to do it. I prefer to just have the whole page of ads and not interrupt. I can see why they don't do that. It's weird.
That's no chicken kamikaze.
Like below the action, this boy's assembling a Japanese plane.
Below the action, this boy's an assassin.
No chicken.
So they get him tied up. Spectre thinks, okay, great, we have a handle on this. Oh, and then our
We should read a Lois Lane comic. I think that would be interesting.
you can do it. So the 100-year-long day. So strange. The ethereal forces here, much stronger than before. Hang on, Billy. I'm going to fight them off with my necromantic powers. I don't know what necromantic means, but as long as it does the trick. And he says, I have the spectral feeling this struggle against the forces of evil has only just begun. Even now, I sense those phantom pilgrims chanting a frightful incantation. So then it gives us a little bit of a history. And who are these demonologists that have taken over the old quarter of Gateway City? Okay, what is this word?
Thaumaturgic talismans.
Okay, from what thaumaturgic talismans have they derived their Kabbalistic controls? And let the cosmic cloak of the Spectre swirl about you, carry you back in time.
Thaumaturgy is the purported capability of a magician to work magic or other paranormal effects, or a saint to perform miracles.
Wow.
It is sometimes translated into English as wonder working.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So we go
There's
back.
some magic cards that have thaumaturgy in the name. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but
So we go back to more than 300 years ago in a small town of provincial England. There's a religious sect has banded together to worship in their own fashion. And look at who they're worshiping.
Nawar.
Yep, diaper boy. And for years, their prayers remain unanswered until their patriarch.
Bless us with your giant diaper. Oh, Nawar. Please, rain poo-poo down upon us.
Look at this, guys. It's not Zebediah or
Zebabeb?
Zebabeb.
Zebabeb Dodson. That's wild.
He made an important discovery. It says, this old scroll reveals we've been worshiping Nawar incorrectly. He looks so upset about it.
So you guys didn't read it till the end? Oh, we got the gist. We saw where it was going.
And he goes, we must use certain talismans, very ancient ones, in order for our pleas to be heard and answered by Nawar. And then they're discovered. And they are banished. And so they go to the New World.
I love this wave, the water and the waves, how jagged they look. It's cool.
Yes. And he says they get to the New World and we shall build our homes and altars here. And they meet up with the Native Americans who they notice have the talismans.
Is that a thaumaturgic talisman over there?
But the people have forgotten what they're used for, what their purpose was. But the Pilgrims are like, we need those. And so they try to take them. This is a little...
Kill Paleface, all of them.
It's a little...
It's not the most enlightened depiction of Native Americans.
No.
Well, are they being controlled, though, by the evil demon? Are they just pissed?
No.
I call upon great Hanto, take away their breath of life. I do like these weird demon creatures here. Gaimpo Nawar? Or in the world of Gaimpo Nawar heard that frenzied supplication.
Right, because the Native Americans started fighting back to save their talismans, and the Pilgrims chanted for Nawar, and because they were in the vicinity of those, his world started coming down. And the prayers of those who worship me are not strong enough to give me the power of earth to save them. All I am able to do to restore 4 of them to life for 1 day of each century. And I believe it's because they don't have all of the talisman. And so the people of Rude Point faded from the world of the living. Only the stark reality of their houses remained to show where the demonologist had existed.
These crazy facial expressions. Those are so over the top. I like it.
Oh, okay. So it was this shaman that cursed them. And so they couldn't, the curse interrupted Nawar coming down.
I see. He was just about to take the last step. He's like, could you go a little lower? It's a little bit of a jump for me. I might get hurt.
The clouds are drawn really cool, though. Mm-hmm. It's still really psychedelic.
Cool to have the circular clouds with the flame on top. That's a cool contrast.
Yeah. It's interesting. So they must wait every 100 years. One of them can come back, or they can come back.
These little squiggly, colorful details really make it look like a rock album or something.
Oh,
like a psychedelic rock.
Yeah. So they
That
come
guy.
back, years, decades
He's
rolled
listening
by.
to Inagata
He wants more cowbell now. And four figures stirred to life and set forth. We must find the ancient bark scroll and stone, the antlers and wampum. And that's 1868. The demonologists revived to continue their search for, and they managed to find 3 of their talismans when the curse of the medicine man overtook them. We must wait another 100 years. And then they found the ancient stone. So now we have our 4 guys. 1968 until today, they come back. And they're carrying talisman.
Each demonologist rose from the dust of the past century to complete their evil ritual. Well, that's pretty cool.
Meanwhile,
It's very Lovecraftian.
yes, calling out Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
They want what's Nawar again, but they're calling out Cthulhu and Emma.
We'll take anybody you got, as long as he's evil.
And so Corrigan is running, trying to find him, and that eerie chant emanating from the Pilgrims.
Trunfla, Nagatha,
Yeah, Nawar.
Chihuahua, Nardwar,
Ghost Rider!
the Hulk. Wait a minute.
So he's running towards the chanting, but ahead of him eerie flames, flame of brothers to the Beltane, and the Walpurgis fires, the Samhain fires of Ireland, and the Scovian fires of France. Fiery tongues flare upward, questing through the spider-webbed air towards a destination out of this world. And like a scene out of the weird tales of H.P. Lovecraft, August
Derleth?
Clark Ashton Smith.
Not familiar with those last 2. Are you?
No. Gotta put a stop to this.
I like how he's like so shocked, but he's like, it's like various authors, such as this, or this, or this, or maybe this. Well, with a shade of this. Anyway, I gotta go stop.
Maybe that's what limits him.
Yeah.
It's like, stop with the
We know you read a lot of books, okay? We're all impressed.
So he jumps in, but
Oh,
then...
that's cool.
Yes, they get him trapped
Cool
inside.
to have no background to emphasize how sudden it happens.
And it looks like there's motion.
Some of
there's
these
a lot
backgrounds are
motion.
wild.
Aren't they? Aren't they?
I don't know what they were passing around in the DC offices at this time.
So he's trapped inside, or penned inside these coils of fire. And we see the Spectre, and as he's approaching through the realms towards Earth, he's having a hard time. And each succeeding barrier is more difficult to penetrate. How could they be increasing in intensity? Because I am adding my powers to them. You now are, but I left you helplessly bound on your world of Gaimpo. How could you? The chanting of my followers on earth sent a stream of magic flames into Gaimpo and burned away your earthly twine. He's just so comical.
Yeah, he looks a little more imposing in that form.
Yeah.
When you see
He
below the
slouches.
shoulders, yeah, bad
like,
posture,
stand
saggy
up.
diaper. I'm not scared. I'm just disgusted.
At the bidding of the 4 demonologists, I shall bring them wealth and prosperity. And as for me, I will dominate your earth. So the Narwhal worshippers are making me invulnerable with their prayers. So not even you, Spectre, can stop me. Run, Billy, run. Find Jim Corrigan. He'll protect you while I fight out Nawar.
So, like, his Jim Corrigan persona can still do stuff while the Spectre's in action? They don't have to
apparently-
switch back and forth?
Yeah. So, yeah.
This is very Doctor Strange-like, more so than I expected it to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's like DC's Doctor Strange or something.
And there's so much going on. So they...
I like that.
They
Elongated.
grow... Ooh, his little feet are... Ooh. So they start fighting, and the Spectre's like, I know. So he grabs all these cars and forms them into a ball and goes to hit him. And he's like, fool, do you think I would I have come here if you could defeat me this easily?
It's like they went out into space? Wow.
And No, Spectre, such earthly trifles no longer have power over me. So it's like, uh-oh. Look at how
He's molding these
stretches.
abandoned vehicles. How did he find so many abandoned vehicles on short notice? I went down to the old junk lot.
And look at it. This would be great to watch as an animation, because he looks like he's just always moving and morphing. And so harsh, mocking laughter resounds from coast to coast over the land. These supernatural beings have made their battleground. I am immune to all forms of physical and astral dangers. Can you claim as much, Spectre? And he kicks him with his nasty little feet. And desperately, Spectre calls upon his knowledge of ancient lore, of sorcerer's secrets. And even in black magic, there are certain laws which must be obeyed. Thus, for every spell, there's a counterspell. This cat's eye gem, which I am enlarging, is protection against witchcraft and death.
Cat's eye gem sounds like a Magic the Gathering card.
Yes, it does. And he throws it right into him. And he's like, "Ha! That jewel may harm witches and warlocks, but not Nawar." He is so
Not
bizarre.
Nawar.
So he grabs him and whips him all the way to the Grand Canyon. And then
He's got a big silver piece.
Yeah. Oh, that's the dime or the.
Says,
yes, silver
Silver
coin.
has power over werewolves and vampires against such night devils as the Lilin, but not over Nawar the Invulnerable.
He's
His
nuts.
character design really reminds me of the old school Green Lantern that wore the red cape.
Yeah.
But he's like him if he got really pale.
Yeah.
Like he hangs out in the basement too long.
So he whips him into the Grand Canyon, and then he goes and grabs him. Look at him, like a rag doll in his hands, and he throws him. And the Spectre, he lands hard against a mountain ash tree. The ghostly guardian is grimly aware that Nawar is thundering toward him to end his unearthly existence. A clue to his weakness. Must find it before he eliminates my ectoplasmic energies. I can sense that my alter ego is helplessly caught in magic coils of fire.
You could sense that? That's a really specific sensation.
Is this the end of both of us? He's like, hello. This time, Spectre, you shall die and stay dead forever.
Angel and the Ape. You ever read an Angel and the Ape comic?
No, I don't think
I've
we
never heard of it.
No.
We don't have a lot of 60s comics, so
That
that might
looks
be fun
insane.
to track one of those down.
Angel
I don't
and
even
the Ape.
understand the premise from this ad.
No, the ape's
Are
got
you
a
ready
gun.
to go ape? Yeah, is he a detective, I guess?
It must be, but then
Private investigators, yeah.
Then he's a
It's
artist.
a woman and her ape, and they investigate crimes. And he has a comic strip on the side.
That we got to look into that. So part 3, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Why has the Spectre come to my aid?
Why hasn't he?
Footsteps running this way. It's
Ooh, those
Billy.
Sweat beads are
Go
gross.
back, Billy. These are magical flames. You can't do anything about them. I've got my water pistol and it's loaded. It'll put out those flames. No, Billy! Not a chance. Water won't diffuse this fire, but he shoots it. But remember, it's filled with the water from Ganko.
Oh, that's Gaimpo water. Puts out
Gaimpo.
fire like that.
So he saves Corrigan, and then who runs down and starts fighting with the Pilgrims. No, you're ruining our incantation.
Don't ruin our incantation. Come on. We worked really hard on it.
And unless it's finished, now Nawar will not be completely invulnerable on Earth. My job's to arrest you 4 guys, and I'm a dutiful cop. You missed your connection, but I didn't. And
What
so he
corny dialogue. I'm a hero, and I will defeat you.
So he takes that antler, and now my only concern is for Spec. I wonder how he's making out.
Don't call me Spec.
So somewhere there must be a countermeasure to reverse the evil energies of Nawar. Wait! Nawar in reverse is Rowan, and this mountain ash tree is also known as the Rowan tree.
Educational.
In superstition lore, one of the most potent charms against evil is Rowan wood. So he pulls up the rowan tree and whaps him. Whunk.
I love that moon.
Yeah. I like this drawing. That makes him really skeleton-like.
It's like he's got extra teeth.
He's cool. So his supernatural powers have been expelled from his body by contact with the rowan tree. It was a close call. But once again, good has triumphed over evil.
You know, I didn't see it coming. They just hit him with a giant tree. I didn't think they'd do it that way. You can get a scar. Scarface, a plastic scar that looks so realistic. Put one on, put in the face, and get lots of sympathy and pity. Do you not get enough sympathy and pity in your life? Take this detachable scar. Impress your friends with your pathetic visage.
So what happens? He returns him to Gaimpo. He's still under that tree, leaves him there, stranded. Look how they mushed his underpants.
Ew.
That's really laying it on. And so he's wondering how Corrigan is doing. And he goes, I sense that Jim has overcome those pilgrim worshippers. So he takes Nawar back to Gaimpo. His power has been absorbed by that rowan tree. And so as they're talking about what to do about the pilgrims, they turn to dust. Because the curse is over.
See you in another 100 years.
It's all done. They're done.
2068.
No, because Nawar's powers are gone. So he doesn't have the power to bring him back every 100 years. They're done. Dunzo.
Well, shucks to them.
Yep. So ashes to ashes, the end.
Superman wants to go to the Palisades amusement park in New Jersey.
Ugh. Is that where they have the
Superman giant
volcano
coaster.
of fire or the...
The free ride on the Caterpillar.
Okay. Let's go. It's worth 85 cents.
Damn.
Wow.
Well, this was what, 12 cents?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a decent amount of comics.
True. So there we have it. The Spectre fighting evil pilgrims.
Let me show you, too, how to make yourself astronaut tough.
Ooh,
Puff out your chest
doughy.
and show your ribcage off when you're astronaut tough.
He's got the Doritos.
Put a boy's
Triangle.
fingers in front of your torso to look like abs, because you're astronaut tough. I like this instant cat, quotation marks. Simply drop the capsule into a glass of warm water, and in about 3 to 4 minutes, this type is very small, you will be pleasantly surprised. It comes out in the shape of a cat. Well, I guess I won't be surprised anymore.
What is
Rubber
that?
bat, invisible ink powder, instant life.
Wow.
Only $1.50. Atomic buzzer, Confederate bumper stickers.
There we
Yikes.
go.
Bumperettes.
Bumperettes.
Yeah, I'm calling about them Confederate bumperettes. You still got those for 50 cents?
That's bizarre.
Never heard the term bumperette before.
No.
It's a bumperette. U.S.
So-
Bugle. Sell only 7 boxes and you can get your own U.S. Bugle.
I remember being a kid
It's
thinking,
not a USSR Bugle.
I could sell 7 boxes. A drum kit.
Liverpool drum set. Sell only 24 boxes.
Not
Pretty
bad.
sure Ringo had a floor tom. I'm just saying. Well, these were some fun issues, and if you made it through the whole issue, thanks for watching our special Thanksgiving celebration. It was kind of hard to track down some Thanksgiving comics, but we managed to do it. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it next year.
No.
Unless I find that power pack. I think that's a Thanksgiving one. But anyway, thanks for watching and subscribing, and maybe we'll see you back for another giveaway at 100 subscribers. Thanks.